welcome to the Witchy Rarely Wednesdays. My
Hello,
voice is
hello.
mostly back. I am joined today by Haley Wrights over on her channel, Haley Wrights. So I'll leave that channel information down below in the description box. Be sure to check it out if you haven't already. And I think we'll do a little bit of catch up of what's going on this week, goals, stuff like that, what we're working on before getting into topics. So what you working on today, Haley? What's going on this week?
I think I am going to continue to work on my revision of the short story, The Gallery of Sun and Bones, because I haven't worked on it in a hot minute, and I seem to get a lot of work done on it during Witchy Early Wednesdays, so I'll just keep going on that. I did start the rereading process for my Project Wilderness novel last night, so if I get sick of revising, I'll probably switch over into reading that and making some more notes and stuff. I think I read through most of chapter 5 yesterday, so we're getting there. Got to prepare for Mel.
Yeah, Mad Air Laboratories part 2 of the reboot, the event, week-long event, is coming up August 7th through the 13th. I have to keep it in my head because my dates are a little different because I'm a day ahead of y'all. But yes, 7th through the 13th, which is really cool. Just like last time, however, it's at a little rough time for Haley. I believe Haley is going to be moving like kind of in the middle of that. So Haley might be popping in and out the beginning part of Mel, but then she's going to kind of dissipate a bit near the end. And we'll have to back with her next month probably because she's going to be busy moving, which is very exciting. How are you with packing, by the way? Because I did say I was going to check on that.
I haven't started yet. But in my defense, I was teaching this week, so I just finished up teaching a children's creative writing class. That was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of this week. So now I'm done. I'm done with that. So now I have a little bit more time, and I might get started on my books tomorrow. But I have like 20 days, give or take, before like I really, really have to nail it down. So yeah, I'm still gonna try to do a little bit every day, but since I had the wedding,
we will have 1 week break before Mel starts, though.
That's true.
We can use that break to get packing done. I may or may not harass you on Instagram about it. How many boxes? How many boxes did you get?
How many boxes? Are you done yet? I'll be like, no, I procrastinated.
Do you have boxes you can use, or do you need to like go get some boxes?
I think I have enough boxes here. We have like a bunch of just little Tupperware box things that I used to store like college stuff in before. So I technically have a couple boxes packed already because they're from college from 2 years ago, and I never really unpacked them. And it has stuff that I'll probably need in my new place.
Like cooking and stuff, yeah.
Right. So I'll just kind of transfer
at least that's done. There's some progress, but probably needs to be reorganized maybe. I don't know if you need to go through it.
Yeah. It does.
And if you go through it sooner rather than later, you can make a grocery list of anything you need to get before you go. Although you should probably buy stuff there, but still having that list will be nice.
Yeah, I think I'm going to make a list, and I am going to focus on getting everything once I'm there as well. Because I feel like with everything I have, I think I can fit that in the 2 cars that we're taking to get down there. And then so I don't have to rent a U-Haul or anything like that, because that'll just be a pain in the butt to try to do all of that on top of everything else.
2 cars are luxury, man. I had to do it with 1 small eco car.
Ooh, yeah.
I did it though. I did it.
That's amazing.
I don't recommend it, but I did it.
Yeah, I mean, I've managed to say I have a Ford Fusion, and I've managed to fit everything from college in my car before to like go back and forth. But since I'm bringing actual like small furniture pieces and stuff, thankfully thankfully my grandparents have like a bigger like SUV that they're letting me take as well. So my parents are going to come with me and drive the other car, and that way they can drive in luxury. And
Yeah, because like, oh, I was just thinking I've kept downgrading every year. So like when I moved to college, I used a small eco car, and then I moved to Japan and I had two suitcases.
Sounds
It's
accurate.
it's an interesting way to live. That's for sure.
Yeah. No,
You
I
just
want to get rid
rebuild
of a
wherever
lot of
you end
stuff.
up. So
I think that's the thing is I need to get rid of a lot of stuff and then it'll be a lot easier to pack things.
it is hard initially. The getting rid of stuff is rough, I'm not gonna lie. But once you do, there's a freedom of that because you're like, oh,
Hmm.
I'm not attached to all these things anymore. And a lot of things that
Right.
you think you should be so attached to really aren't that big of a deal in the end. Like I have a bunch of like cards and stuff like that people sent me throughout the years, and that's in storage somewhere that's probably gonna end up in the trash because like the memory is sweet, but like I really don't need all those physical letters and stuff like that. Like it's
Hmm.
paper. It's so much paper. And at the end of the day, like most of those people don't even remember sending me that. Like it's been years. So and like a lot of things you think have such sentimental value, it's like, do they really? Like there are certain things I have that are true sentimental value, but not much. Very, very few things, honestly. So when you like realize I have two suitcases, my whole life has to go into two suitcases. You really like figure out your priorities pretty fast. So
Hmm.
there's good and bad for sure.
Oh, definitely.
Um,
I mean, I just took one suitcase when I went to Colorado for a month, and it was nice. It was nice living out of one suitcase and not
yeah,
having to worry about things and just stuff clutters up your life. And I feel like I was way more creative because I had less things to worry about.
yeah,
Um, Physical objects, what have
yeah.
yous. But yes, it is hard to get rid of things and to force
The
myself to
initial
sit down and go
purge is
through stuff.
hard for sure. Um, as far as me, I'm just continuing on working on my draft two for Project Clockwork. I'm going to keep on with that. I'm about halfway through chapter 15. So I have the thing was I was hoping I could reach chapter 20
Mm,
before Mel started, but I don't know because I would have to get a lot done today and then a lot done next week.
yeah.
I don't realistically speaking, usually in these streams, I get anywhere between 2 to 3 scenes done. I would have to
Mm,
get 2 to 3 chapters done in order to hit chapter 20. So kind of don't think it's gonna happen, but progress is still progress.
right.
We'll still do what we can.
No, for
So
sure. How long are your
subjectively,
chapters usually?
my chapters, so I tried to get them around the same, anywhere between um, 2,500 to 4,000 words a piece,
Mm,
each chapter, roughly. I don't know if that's industry standard. No clue, no clue. I was like, that's kind of a number that makes sense for me hitting the points I want to hit in a chapter. Um,
mhm,
but but yeah, I try to keep it under 5,000 because once it gets to 5,000, I feel like it's ticking over into a little too long of a chapter. It feels like it's dragging a bit. So that's just it's probably going to change. It is already changing because of edits. Because of the way it's set up now, that's one of the things I don't like about Scrivener. I need to go back and watch the thing about the Scrivener
Oh
and
yeah, yeah,
Witchy.
yeah. I haven't seen that one. I haven't
I
had
haven't
time
seen
to
it.
watch any of them yet.
I need to. I need to watch because I'm wondering if she's figured out a way to show the amount of word. I don't have word counts the way my system is set up. So Y Writer, which is ugly system, but it's
Mm,
how I do my zero drafting. Y Writer shows me all of the numbers next to every chapter. So off to the side, I've got all my chapters and all the scenes broken down, and I can see each number. I can't
mm.
see that in Scrivener. I
I
have to
can't either.
click
I would
on
have
things.
to.
It's a pain in the butt. I don't like it. So I don't, I'm sure there's a way to do it. I'm sure there is. I just haven't figured it out. Like
Right.
many things in Scrivener, tis a mystery. So
I think one thing that I would do if you like seeing your word count in that index thing is I would go in. I mean, it would be a little bit tedious at first, and then you'd have to update it every time you change or edit a scene. But then you can look, because at the bottom of at least my screen, it shows me what the word count is of the scene, and then you can click the title of the scene, and then you can just type in what that word count is so that it shows up in the index that way. You
Yeah,
wouldn't be able to automatically update, though. There
no.
could be a way to do that, but I have no
There's,
idea.
I'm feeling like there is, but I haven't figured it out yet. It
Mm.
probably has something to do with the views or something like that. There's a way to click on views of like numbers or counters.
Oh,
But I don't know what that is yet.
well, I'll
So
also have to watch that. Let me know if you find that out. That would be really interesting.
yeah, yeah, because that's one of the things. Like it's kind of a good and bad thing because in some ways you don't want to look at the word count very much. For
Mm-hmm.
me, it's just mostly about making sure that my chapters aren't insanely uneven. Like I don't
Right.
want there to be like 4,000 words, 3,000 words, like 3,500 words, and then there's one that's like 6,000 words. It's like that. It's just such a jump. It feels
Yeah.
really weird. So I wouldn't
No,
want that
that happened to
personally.
me with A Dance of Shadows. The first chapter was like 9,000 words, and then everything else was between 4 and 7,000.
Yikes.
So they
Yeah.
were pretty uneven, but I'm starting over with that later,
Yeah.
so we'll make
Yeah.
it more even next time.
Okay, so like I think because our topic today is common magic, so I was going to go ahead and draw an oracle card for today. So I'll just use the Halloween oracle, and while I shuffle and set the deck, if you want to like talk about kind of common things that you might use concerning writing or focus or cleansing your space, that would be awesome. We would love to hear that.
Yes, definitely. So as we're talking about like common magic, we're definitely talking in terms of common magic practices that we use when we're thinking about writing, especially because we're both author tubers. So we want to just involve the magic side of our lives with our writing sides. So one of the main things that I do for focus or setting an intention would be basically just like meditating or sometimes pulling a tarot card. I don't have any oracle decks, I just have tarot, but I could pull a tarot card and just kind of see, okay, like where's my head at right now in terms of writing, if I need help or get a block in terms of where my story is going, especially when I'm plotting a new story. I will typically pull a few tarot cards to see kind of where the arc should be going in terms of my character. So that's something really fun that I like to do. I also practice a little bit of candle magics in terms of, so I have this little mini candle holder that I just got actually. I need more candles that fit this, so I haven't used it in a hot minute.
I
Um,
will say those candles are hard to fit because I think I have one as well. It's very thin.
mm,
Um, I think the best I found for stuff like that, you can get beeswax sheets that
mm,
you roll and it sticks to itself essentially. You roll to create a candle. You could cut those before you roll it to make sure it doesn't roll very thick and it stays thinner. And then you just have a wick through the center and you just roll it so the wick's in the middle.
mm.
And
That's
there's
awesome.
it's
I haven't
very
heard of that.
easy and you just need beeswax sheets. And they've got the little comb things on them, like pretty much because it's actual beeswax that they're using. It does mean that they're a little pricey per candle. Like if you're used to getting packs of
Mm,
candles for really cheap, this is going to be a price up. But because you're making them by hand, you're rolling them by hand, you can set intention as you roll and things like that. If you wanted to, I'd be very careful with this, but you could roll it with herbs between the layers. Just make sure
mm,
you research your herbs, make sure they're safe to be burnable. If it's food grade, it's probably safe. So things like basil, for example, would be safe. Rosemary is an amazing thing to put in there. Lavender, if you like lavender, I can't stand lavender, but you know, you do you. Chamomile should be safe to burn, that kind of stuff. So, like that's one thing you can do. Just be careful because it will change how it burns, and you will need to
mm-hmm.
keep an eye on it. But that
Yes.
way you could get the right size because I was never able to find pre-made candles of the right size.
Hmm.
But maybe I was looking at the wrong places. Maybe if you went to like a candle shop, maybe that'd be better. There
Right,
aren't very many
maybe.
of those, but
Yeah.
they're
No, for
usually
sure.
homegrown things, like in downtown area. There'll be like a mom and pop shop. They make everything by hand, and you could like bring it in and show them the dimensions. They'll be like, "Oh yeah, we can make that."
Right. I
Yeah.
know because when the shop that I got this at, I got this when I was in Colorado. This was the only one that fit the smallest candles that they did, and they had other like little holders, but they were too wide for the even the candles that they were selling that were the small ones, and they were just like kind of 50-cent candles. And I was like, I'm just here for a month, so I just want to buy a couple little ones. And I didn't have because normally with some other like color intention with candles, I would just buy like a bigger set, and they were bigger, and I would just have them like on a little tray kind of thing to capture it, or they were already in a little glass thing anyways, and I just used it for the color. um, but purple lavender is great for intuition and creativity. Blue green for healing, kind of like cleansing away um, any negative thoughts about myself or my writing. I definitely want some green in here. I have a couple incense burners. My bigger one is over there, so I won't grab it, but I have a small one for cleansing. So this one can take a cone, and then it also has a few dots that can do incense sticks. I don't have any cones, so I use the incense sticks more often than not. And I just put paper towel down to try to collect the ash. So it
I
gets
I have I
messy.
have a setup of multiple like pot holder things that are like these metal
Mm,
because they're metal, so they're not gonna burn. I don't have any worries of like scarring. Um, but like my incense burner stuff is like mine is small.
mm,
It's super, super tiny. And it's
yeah,
metal, which means it can get quite hot. So I always make sure it's on other like fire safe metal and stuff like that. Make sure everything's safe. But yeah,
for sure.
I don't use combs very much either. I have a couple, but I don't use
Yeah.
them as much.
Let me say I also have an oil diffuser for
Oh,
essential oils
nice.
as well. So I have many options for cleansing. um, I like my frankincense and myrrh is one that I put in here a lot. Um, I'm not sure exactly. I forget what it does, but it smells good and it makes me feel happier. So that's what I go for.
Frankincense can be attached, I believe, to Happy Home.
Mm,
It's a good one for I kind of consider frankincense to be a little bit better for cleansing in some cases than
mm,
anything like garden sage. You can use white sage is indigenous. We do not use it here.
mm,
But you could use garden sage if you wanted. The problem with even garden sage is it's like blank slate. Like it takes
mm,
care of not just negativity, but also positivity that you have in your home. Nothing's there anymore. So if nothing's there, it's a void. Voids are filled very easily with the first thing that comes to pass. So like if you do use anything that's very cleansing, like it feels too squeaky clean in your space, you want to make sure you replace it with like a positive feeling. So things like frankincense are really good. I've heard frankincense, orange, stuff like that kind of brings in like brightness and joy and stuff like that. So you want to use that. If you wanted calming and soothing, you could use lavender. I don't like lavender, but chamomile is another good one. I wish I liked lavender. I
mm.
really do because it's used everywhere and so much
Yeah.
stuff, but it
Oh,
actually
for
makes me
sure.
feel sick.
Yeah, I have a few different lavender combos that I take. I have this, if
Because
I
there are
can reach
different
it.
kinds of lavender. A lot of people don't know. There's English lavender, which is one of the old school ones, and then there's spike lavender, which is what's
Yeah,
used with most blends.
those
Spike
are I keep
lavender,
all of them.
oh yeah. Spike lavender is one that can set off people who are sensitive, such as me. Anyone who's had a series of like seizures when they were younger could possibly
Mm,
have problems with spike lavender. Something about the formation of it can cause issues. They're still doing studies on it, so it's not completely conclusive. But a lot of people who have like neurodivergency and stuff have trouble with certain lavender strains. Again, studies are still trying to figure out exactly why, but it's possible it's spike lavender specifically. So, like English lavender might be fine. English lavender is very expensive though, so it can be harder to get a hold of. It's harder to breed. Um, but but yeah, if you have a headache with lavender, chamomile is a really good alternative. It's
Nice.
pretty easy to come by too. So
Yeah, I feel like lavender is kind of 50-50 for me. I think I have gotten headaches from it in the past, but not like only if I'm exposed to it for a really long time. Like if I have it on my oil diffuser for a little bit and just like scented, like I have this too that's just a just a scented spray kind of thing that's lavender and rose. Um and it's usually fine. A little bit if I spray too much, then I have a problem. But if it's my dogs were in here on my bed too much and they were in the rain or something and I need to just freshen it up a little bit, then it's great for
the wet
that.
dog smell, yeah, it's its unique thing. Nothing else
Mm-hmm.
smells like wet dog, but wet dog. It's a special brand of smell.
It is. It is
Although I think it
definitely.
still smells better than certain smells I've smelled in my life. I gotta say, uh, like there's a spectrum of bad, and wet dog is lower on the list than you'd think. You live
Mm,
long enough in this world, and you realize that wet dog is not the worst it can get. There's a lot worse out
no,
there. So
definitely not. I am
yeah,
okay
I'll take
smelling my
wet
wet
dog
dogs.
over molding watermelon any day.
Ooh,
Like molding watermelon is one of the worst smells in the universe. No one can convince me otherwise. Even dumpsters smell better than rotten watermelon. Really, seriously,
I
it's
don't think I've ever smelled
traumatic.
a rotten watermelon, and I really don't want to now.
I don't no, you don't because it's really bad and it'll traumatize you. I can't eat watermelon. I haven't been
Oh
able to
my
eat
gosh.
watermelon in years because of that. So, yeah, do yourself a favor. Always make sure you eat your watermelon in a timely fashion. Never leave it in the back of your fridge. Don't ever, 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 ever do that. And if you do and you notice, don't open the container. Just toss the whole thing. The whole thing. It's not worth it. It's not worth being
Mhm.
traumatized for the rest of your life. It's really not.
Oh my gosh, no. Yeah,
I
we
mean,
eat a
it's
lot of watermelon over here, so that would not be good for me.
I mean, in the end, it probably benefits me to not like watermelon because, like, they just started selling whole watermelons here in Japan, and a whole
Mm,
watermelon will cost you 18 USD.
that's a
Yeah.
lot.
Yep. So it's very expensive over here. So it's probably a good thing that I don't like it because
Yeah,
I gotta miss
if
it.
you save all that money, like, oh my gosh.
It's a lot of money
Um,
for one watermelon.
I'm trying to think about other things that I might do. Um,
I mostly use sigils as well as shaker jars, and I have an entire video on the shaker jars on my YouTube channel.
hmm,
If you're interested in those, um, sometimes I will light incense when I write. Not all the time. I do have asthma, so I have to be careful. Usually, when I have incense going, I'm not in the room. I've got the window open. I'm next door. Like I'm literally in my kitchen. I can see everything, but I'm not right next to it. And I'll have my door open with the screen, so a lot of the smoke will leave, and some of it will linger in here, but not too much. But I still won't sit too close to it. I'll usually be like
hmm.
doing dishes and cleaning the kitchen. And the reason for that is just simply because I have asthma, and being too close to a source of that can be problematic. Um,
Right.
so I've got that. I really should. I've got a few essential oils, not many. Here in Japan, that stuff can be really insanely expensive. So I haven't really
Hmm.
gotten into it very much. And also, it's a mixed bag of whether or not that's better for asthma. Some people get worse. So it can be just as bad as smoke. Depends on your sensitivity.
Yeah.
um, yeah, I don't usually do a ton of practice for writing specifically. It's just more along the lines of like general protection. Like I have a water offering, which is just in this like you know glass that I got pretty cheap. It's on my altar, and it is a protecting ward while I sleep. And if I notice it's starting to get cloudy, it is offered up to my plants. I dump it out into one of my protective plants and they absorb it, and it's nutrients for them. And then I just refill it. If I forget to refill it, sometimes it can be a problem because I have to have a water. So it definitely catches stuff now and again. But outside of like general protection and wards, I don't do a ton. I don't even usually pull cards. Like I'm gonna pull one for us for this session, just out
Mhm.
of curiosity and because it's the topic today. I mean, if you guys like this, I can keep doing this. But it's not something I usually do. I'm not sure why. I guess because I'm just when I get focused on an activity, I'm just like, it's time to write. So I'll
Yeah.
go straight for writing. I won't do a lot of other things, which is why I've had to make a routine about eating because I'll skip eating and stuff too, which don't do that. Please don't do that.
Mm-mm.
As
Not
someone
good. Gotta
who
eat.
has a problem with eating, please don't skip eating. Um, okay, we've
Yeah, I
got,
mean, I don't
oh,
think
look, we
I.
got some people. Britta is here. I don't know why it's not letting me show comments. Um,
Mm,
oh, I
sometimes
think
it's
we've got a
bad about
lag
that.
a bit. So
Oh, well, I see
there we go. I
that
think it
comment
caught
on
up
the
maybe.
screen.
Hello,
I
Britta. Moldy deviled eggs smell awful too. Oh yeah. Yeah, that would be really bad.
Yeah, I could more easily smell that than watermelon because I think we eat our watermelon
Yeah,
so
we're
fast.
I'm a little behind you, I think, because I'll say something and you'll respond like 30 seconds later. So I think we've got a pretty bad lag currently.
Oh, do we? Hmm.
Okay. Yeah. See if it catches up.
Okay.
I don't know if it's going to catch up or not.
I don't know. Do you want me to leave quick and
Okay.
come
She'll
back?
pull pretty soon here. But yeah, I can't other than general protection. Um, maybe we can try that. Okie doke. Hopefully we'll sync back up when she joins. I just checked my internet. It seems to be okay, so
Hello.
I think we're okay. Sorry about that, guys. We all know that Corey doesn't have great internet, so shouldn't come as a shock.
Not at
My
all.
internet is pretty bad, which is one of those misconceptions about Japan. No, it does not. Japanese internet is pretty bad, actually.
Hmm.
Yeah, we're still getting problems with YouTube not syncing right. I think it's a YouTube sync.
There we go.
Haley's video is not coming up. It's completely blank on my side. So if I try to add her, it just goes
Am
to
I back?
black. So either this is a problem on my side and I'm just not seeing it. According to my internet is working. So not sure what that's all about. Yo.
Can you see me?
Yeah, it was blank for a while.
Oh.
I think we're synced now though, because you're responding to me in real time.
Yes.
So we're synced. It was just struggling there for a little bit. I checked my internet. My internet says everything's on, so I don't know, man.
Yeah, so did mine, and then everything just like glitched again, and I saw the black screen, but then it showed me on, and then I was kicked, and then on, and then kicked. So
I don't know what's going on. I think there was a problem also with connecting to YouTube because all the YouTube icons in the comment section were broken. They weren't working. So like Britta's icon couldn't see it. So I am now seeing her now. So hi. I can see your icon. It's not broken anymore. So hopefully that will stay fixed. So let's pray everything stays fixed.
Yes.
Pray to the gods if you worship any. It's okay if you don't. Ancestors are okay too. But yeah, outside of protection, I don't really do a whole lot. And I'm not sure entirely why I don't pull cards or something because I have a bunch of cards and I do pull cards for a lot of other things. I guess simply because a lot of my cards are more attached to me personally and they're not, I don't usually ask questions about writing. Like I've never really drawn cards for characters before. And the only time I tried to draw anything, it ended up just being a read on me, being like, hey, you are avoiding all your emotions right now and you're shut off. So maybe address that. And then I proceeded to not address that and ended up in a mental health crisis. So maybe if you ask your card something and they tell you to see a professional for help, maybe you should. Just maybe. Just spitting here.
Maybe.
I think
Just a little bit.
If your ancestors are like, maybe you should get help. Maybe you should get help. Maybe they're right. Maybe they know something you don't.
Right.
Maybe the suppressing emotions is not doing what you think it's doing.
Not a good sign. Not a good sign at all.
So, okay, we're going to try to pull. I've been shuffling this whole time, so let's see what it is. Interesting, Dawn was chosen. So this one is Light After Darkness. So we've got an owl that's about to catch prey. That kind of makes sense considering that it is the crack of dawn for me. The sun just mostly came up just now, essentially. So it's pretty literal from my end, but that could be for a lot of y'all if you're going through like some really tough times, just continuing to find and carve out that time as needed. And it doesn't necessarily have to be for writing, depending on what you're going through. Light can be whatever brings you joy. So if that's writing, awesome. If that's ignoring your writing for now because it stresses you out and painting something, it could be that. Literally anything. I think for something like this, if you're coming out of darkness and you need light, that's what you need to focus on is what brings light. So it's not necessarily going to be a to-do list. If to-do lists help you and you feel like that will benefit you, do that. But also be kind to yourself. Because like this image is an owl, but we don't know if the owl's just going to get on a perch to rest because owls are nocturnal. They don't usually stay up very long at dawn unless they're hunting something. So if this thing's hungry, of course he needs to take care of his necessities first. So necessities first. If you do have a bunch of hard stuff you don't want to do but have to do that. But if you're also just tired and that's what you really need, you can also just find a place to rest because we don't know what this owl is up to. We don't know if he's going to go rest somewhere or if he's going to hunt. We don't know. So whatever you need to be doing right now, whatever your light would be, that's what you should be focusing on. So for today's stream, what you're doing should depend on what you need and want. If needs are outweighing want, that's what you're going to have to focus on. But if you don't have an immediate need right now and you're stressed out about writing, do something that does not stress you out. You are not a bad writer for taking a break.
True that. Preach.
For those of you who have not seen it, on Haley's channel, which if you haven't subscribed, please remember to like and subscribe. But definitely check out Haley's channel and you can go ahead and watch her video she did for the AuthorTube Writing Conference on the creative grind, where we talked about stuff like that. So I did not mean to plug stuff, but it just kind of happened. Um,
When it flows naturally, sometimes you just got to go with the flow, you know?
Does. Okay, so we are right up at our time where we really should get to writing, or whatever it is that you need to do. If it's dishes, do that. If it's
Mhm.
calling somebody and fixing your credit card, do that. I know no one likes to be on the phone with the bank. I get that. Do what you got to do, though. Do what you got to do this hour. So we have an hour that we are going to be spending on whatever task you need doing. For me, it's going to be editing. For Haley, maybe some editing and revision work, maybe jump into rereads, depending on the feelings. Please let us know
Mhm.
in the comments what you guys are working on. That would be awesome. And we will see you again in about an hour. All right. Not wanting to scare anybody, but we back. So I hope that worked out well for you guys. I hope we got a lot done. I did not finish the scene I was working on. It's way longer than I thought it was going to be, but I'm making good progress. It's looking a lot better than it was. It was missing so much information. That scene was
Mm.
barely a scene. Apparently, I had skipped over a lot of important stuff
Oh
and I had just like
no.
barely described the scene. So I was like, they did this. And then the next thing happened. I'm like, whoa, wait, what do you mean they did this and just went to the next thing? What did I do? So yikes, fixing that. So a lot of I pretty much had to write a new scene essentially because it wasn't working.
Oh,
So
love when that
getting progress.
happens.
Mhm.
Right? Oh, that's so relatable. When I was reading some of my Project Wilderness last night, I was like, okay, yeah, we just kind of skip ahead a little bit here. There's what happens between this. How does she get here? Kind of
Yeah,
thing.
I think we've all been
Because
there.
yeah, found a little plot hole where I'm like, I should probably have an extra scene here between these two chapters of other things that she does before she does this other thing, if that makes sense. Um, so I get that.
We had some people come into the chat. While we were talking to them a little bit in chat. I was multitasking a little, which probably slowed me down, but it's fine. Um, so Autumn came in. The beeping woke my cat. Sorry about that. Oh, Brandon just came in. I was napping for the first part, then volunteering till now. Well, welcome. Hi. Yeah, we're kind of wrapping up, but that's okay. You can always watch replay. It's no big thing. Replay's always there for y'all. But we have a couple of people who are working on stuff. I believe Britta is working on a fantasy horror with tragic romance and wants to complete the novel by NaNoWriMo this year. So she was working on scene and outlining stuff for that scene she was working on. I hope you were able to complete it, Britta. Um, and then Autumn came in. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you like my videos. Working on 2 novels, which is huge. So Autumn is working on a fantasy based on RPG games, and the other is urban fantasy. So that's a lot of work. Looks like Autumn has been alternating between them. So magic systems are kind of rough, but yeah, looks like um, the secret is spacing time between novel and another. So alternating between the two. Good luck. That's honestly like ideally you should be doing that. You should be alternating between projects so you can like table one project, let it breathe a bit so you can get some distance from it, work on
Mhm.
something else, then come back to the older projects so you come at it with kind of fresh eyes in a way. So ideally, you do want to be working on multiple projects. You just want to make sure that you give everything enough time. And I think that is very tricky to figure out because everyone's a little different. Some people need to table stuff for months to years, and other people only need to table something for a couple months and they're fine. So it depends.
Yeah, for sure. I'm nervous about that for myself because I usually keep it shelved for at least 6 months to 9 months, give or take. But I really want to start working on the draft to Project Wilderness, so it had only been like 2 months since I wrote it. So it'll be an interesting experiment to see how that kind of plays out this next month as I start that revision process.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Brandon was like, Autumn is wise. Yes. Yeah, that's what
Definitely.
you're
Very,
supposed
very
to be
wise.
working on 2 or more. Um, yeah, so I kind of agree. Like I've definitely been in that spot where I mean I started the reread and everything of my novel, and I had just finished it in I think November or December or something like that, and then I
Mhm.
was doing rereads in January, so it was really really close. Honestly, for me, time seems like taffy at this point. My brain like how I categorize time is really weird in my brain. So for me, by the time I was doing reread, I was catching tons of stuff. So I think
Mhm.
it really just depends on how your brain is seeing time. If it feels like you just finished it yesterday, then it might not have been enough time. But if you feel like tons of stuff has happened to you in a short period of time, maybe it's fine. I guess it's relative. But
True.
yeah, it definitely depends. So hopefully it'll be fine. I hope the reread goes okay.
Yeah, I'm. So far, so good.
That's good. Brandon, always work on 2 projects at once. When you get tired of the first, procrastinate by working on the second. That is one thing you can do. Yes.
Yes.
It's kind of it's kind of hard sometimes if you that's why like I do recommend if you do have 2 projects at the same time, I recommend both projects being wildly different from each other, not just in terms of characters but also genre.
Mhm.
Which so like for me, like usually when I have 2 projects going on, one of them's more like fantasy and then the other one's like sci-fi. So like right now I'm writing on sci-fi. And for NaNoWriMo, I'm contemplating doing like a historical romance or something. Like something
Wow.
entirely different out of my comfort. I'm toying with the
Be
idea. I got a lot
very,
of
very
inspiration.
different for you. Oh my gosh, that would
I
be.
I've never done it before, but here's the thing. I got so much inspiration from Writing with Diversity, the
Mhm.
video that Morgan Lee did for Author Tube Writing Conference. If you guys have not seen it, high 10 out of 10 recommend because she actually has you do writing exercises throughout the lecture. It's an interactive lecture. And it's so good. I cannot recommend it enough. It's probably one of the best things on diversity I've ever been to. And I've like taken classes. I've taken college classes in this. None of them are as good as her hour-long session. Like she does a fantastic job in 50 minutes. So 10 out of 10 recommend that one. I got a lot of inspiration from it. And I was just supposed to write a character for practice. I ended up really, really liking my character, who is from the 1960s. So
Mm.
when I say historical, I don't mean like most people think like, oh, Victorian era. No, no, 1960s, baby, groovy, like
Groovy,
that
groovy.
era.
Yeah.
Um, so maybe we'll see. I'm not sure because it'd be so different from what I usually do, and I'm honestly not sure if I can pull it off. Like I think I could, given enough time and practice, but like I've never tried
Right.
something like that before.
Well, it's
So
always scary when you try something for the first time, like brand new kind of thing. I mean, when I was starting Project Wilderness, like all my other stuff was dystopian fantasy, sci-fi, and then this one ended up being pretty much literary fiction, except with like a surrealist style type of thing. So, like, I don't know, it might surprise you because I do feel like Project Wilderness is definitely one of the best things that I've ever written, like first draft wise. Because as I was reading through, I was like, this isn't half bad. Whereas when I read A Dance of Shadows through, I'm like, this is shit.
Well, there is a huge difference in when writing it too. Like this is
It's true.
current you that's very self-aware in terms of you've done a lot of things with like mice and figuring that out and like toying with structure because Dance of Shadows has needed so many reworkings. You've practiced that so much that when you went into making this new project, you applied all of that stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
you're at a far more experienced level now than you were when you first wrote Dance of Shadows for the first time. So it's got that going for it, which is a good plus to have, is that experience. Which is why I
Definitely.
think it's harder for young writers. I don't think it's impossible for them to break in, but I think it's harder because you just have less practice under your belt. And
Mm-hmm.
practice does actually make perfect. It really truly does. Like the more you work at it, the easier it does become over time. But you just really need
Yep.
to keep working.
You need your
Brandon, get twice
100,000
the amount of work.
hours, a million words.
Yeah, no kidding. Get twice the amount of work done while doing nothing but procrastinating. And then Autumn replied, Brandon has the right idea, but isn't procrastinating if you're still progressing? I would say no. I say no. But it does depend on what your priorities are, like, and what your
Mm-hmm.
goals are. Like, if your goal is, I have to finish this project by this date, then yes, you're still procrastinating because that project has been stopped for another project to progress. But if you're thinking of it more in terms of getting writing itself done and writing itself is the goal and progressing writing as a whole, then it's not because you're progressing your writing and you're progressing your career. It's just
Mm-hmm.
that particular project is put on hold for now. Um, and honestly, I would recommend that unless you're signed with a publisher and you have like a set deadline of certain projects, I really would recommend being a little more loose and goosey so you can switch between because forcing yourself to work on one project when you really are hitting a wall over and over is just detrimental to the creative process. It's better to go over to something that you can actually work on for a bit and do that. And then when you have your well refreshed, you can click back into your original project. I think the trick is going back to that harder project when you have your well refreshed and not just
Yeah,
staying where you are and forgetting about the original project. So you do need to keep switching tracks, but if you have a good sense of when you're burning out and when you need refreshing and stuff like that, it should be okay. But of course, that's the trick, knowing when you're burnt out, knowing how long you need to recover. Not gonna lie, it's tricky, but
it is. It's very tricky. Um, I was feeling that tonight a little bit because I was working on the A Gallery of Sun and Bones revision, and I made it through page 9, and then I finished like putting stuff from the original document into my new document for the new draft. And then I was like, I'm done. I can't do anymore. It just nothing was coming very much. And then I just started journaling for the next month and starting to plan out August a little bit with my move
yeah,
and everything. So I mean, there's definitely different ways to refresh your well, and to like, if you're too tired for it, like don't force it, because then you're just going to have to redo it later when
yep,
you're feeling better about it, I guess, or feeling more inspired for it. Because I do feel like if I force myself to write when I'm like really tired or not really feeling in the mood for a specific project, then it's not going to get done in the way that I want it to be done.
yeah,
So it's better to work slower and more consistently, um, than it is to rush through something, because then you're just going to have to fix it later, which is part of the problem sometimes with like the NaNoWriMo and that kind of stuff, because it's
yeah,
all about your word production. And like there's nothing wrong with that. And I'm an avid participator of NaNoWriMo in the past, and I'm really excited for it this year. Um, and you got to start thinking about what I'm going to do for it myself. But um, I think there is like a fine line between writing just to get the words out and then writing a more like a draft that you can actually use. Because I think that was a biggest problem for me with the Dance of Shadows, was rushing through to get it done and then realizing, oh, that doesn't actually work later, and knowing that I put in all of those hours and hours and hours of work in writing that I would then have to go ahead and delete and then start over with. Um, so yeah.
yep. It's it's hard to know when to kind of pull away, but I guess just listening to your emotions as best you can. And like I said, some people don't have that opportunity. If you're signed or you have a deal with somebody, you got to get through what you got to get through. But just like I said earlier when I pulled our oracle card for the session, like you have to determine what light means to you right now and what you need right now. Um, so sitting down and just planning your month is a great start to that. Just figuring out what your priorities are going to be for the next period of your life. That's totally fine. Speaking of priorities, that's actually going to be the next topic for next week. That's going to be over on Haley's channel. For those of you who are interested in coming with us for the last session for Writerly Wednesdays for now, we might see a reboot of this in September, maybe, but it's really going to depend on scheduling and stuff, which we just don't know quite yet. So,
Mhm.
also, I might be moving around that time. I actually might be pushing my move to October, beginning of October. So we're gonna see. But we're gonna talk a little bit about how
Well,
August is gonna work, going into a little bit of September for next stream. So if you guys are interested in what's coming up next and what we're going to be doing, please check in on Haley's channel. You're gonna want to shift over to Haley's channel because that's where everything's gonna
yes.
be. And we're gonna discuss that and what's coming up. Really exciting because there are some fun things mostly on my channel for August. And then Haley, I think, is going to have a lot of like vlog stuff and pre-done videos that should be coming out next month, I believe. So while she is in transit, that stuff should come out. So maybe finishing up a couple series, stuff like that. So you definitely want
Mhm.
to see her channel to complete those series. And then if you want some live interaction, a lot of that's going to be on my channel for August. So I'll take over for August. And September, Haley might be taking over. So we're going to talk about that next time.
Yeah.
So definitely catch our stream next week. Same bat time, same bat. No, not the same bat channel. the other bat channel, the other white meat. Haley's bat channel, not mine.
Oh my gosh.
Similar enough.
Yeah.
We come back and forth on our channels a lot. But we look forward to seeing you guys next week on that. Real quick, because Autumn had one more thing. You honestly summed up my week in that statement. I was stuck on chapter 1 and then had to take a break when I got tired of looking at it as it was starring at it angrily would fix my problem. Yeah, it's sometimes you just need a mental break from it because it's all just becoming one thing and it doesn't make any sense anymore. Sometimes, like when I start misspelling simple words like the word the, that's when I'm like, okay, we're done for tonight. I literally can't type anymore because my brain has turned off. So it happens. It happens to all of us, especially when you've been staring at the same scene too long. So I've got to go because I got meetings and stuff. But thank you guys so much for showing up. Remember, if you missed the beginning of this, you can always replay it and check out Haley's channel for next week. Thank you guys so much for coming. And we will see you next time over on Haley's channel. So bye.
Bye, guys. See you next week.